In today's playthrough, we continue with Triplock, the solo scenario, The Station. After successfully completing Room 2 in our previous playthrough, we now move on to Room 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have coming our way. The lock released, and a circular door appeared across the room where none existed moments ago. The stranger led them through it, continuing to ignore all questions. The next room offered a marked contrast to its predecessor. Plain metal paneling covered every surface, and the group's voices reverberated around in a never-ending feedback loop. In the center of the room stood a console with several exposed mechanisms. It was time to choose someone. Console access initiated. A gruff male voice boomed as if broadcast via loudspeaker, though no such amplification was visible. A loud hiss and a blast of steam from above heralded giant replicas of the console mechanisms descending from an opening in the ceiling. Across the room, a metal slab lowered, revealing a blurry figure and a matching console, both obscured behind tinted glass. Ooh, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. It also sounds like this one we might actually be playing against a character in this scenario. We'll find out more as we check out the room rules and the room's play. If you remember from the end of the Room 2, I randomly chose which character I would be playing as during this playthrough, and my random selection was Elizabeth. However, I also ask you guys to help me choose who I should play as. And mainly through social media, you decided to not go with Elizabeth, but instead you went with Dr. Elliot, who, if I remember right, was my random choice for the last room. I guess you decided you wanted to see him get played after all. Let's go ahead and take a look at his unique skill. As you remember, every character has their own unique skill. Let's go ahead and take a look at his. You may place your skill bead on one of your own diagrams to keep it from being revealed or altered, or place your skill bead on an opponent's diagram to keep it from being viewed or altered. Well, like I noticed just by reading the lore for the third room, it sounds like we might be playing against somebody on here. Hopefully we will be able to take advantage of that skill. Let's go ahead and check out his lore. The royal company had become careless, and Dr. Lucius Elliot had been studying. 150 years of power in New London can leave folks feeling invincible. Propaganda and education had convinced them that there was never a reason to fear. Elliot was counting on this. The doctor made a decent living when compared to the typical local. It at least afforded him the opportunity to live in Newtown, set far from the stench of the open sewers. It was also one of the few areas that still had trees and parks worth a damn. Black lung, of course, had no cure. The smog and rain in town caused innumerable health issues that the royal company had no interest in fixing. They paid doctors to lie to patients. Just hand the folks a placebo pill or a shot of morphine and send them on their way. They'd expire soon enough. The few who survived long enough to realize what was going on were deemed insane and hauled off to the asylum for their last days. But the authorities drank the same water. They breathed the same air. It was inescapable within 100 miles of the city, and yet they never seemed to need care. Lucius had realized this years ago. His keen eye and silent nature had allowed him to remain under the radar while timelessly researching his environment. He had been studying hard. The company guard captains seemed to spend an awful lot of time in the Fifth Ward, a nondescript building connected to the train station was of particular interest. Decrepit and in a state of disrepair, it still was secured by several locks. No captain held all the keys. Instead, several of them carried a single key to prevent anyone gaining access on their own. Picking locks was illegal in New London, for obvious reasons. However, sick miners often knew a thing or two about it, as they spent many of their nights trying to unlock their chains for an ill-advised escape attempt. They often had papers and books in their pockets when they arrived in Lucius's office. Books were contraband as well, but the miners were required to keep their charts and equipments with manuals. A bit of coal and a manual were all they needed to record their nightly progress, working on their chains. He made sure to get what he could from them before they got their pails. Analyzing manuals consumed his nights. He knew more than the Royal Company could imagine. Deep in reading, the knock at the door startled him. Whoever had knocked was already gone, but they had left a box on his doorstep. Ornate woodwork, gears, and toggles enveloped the box. Golden text on the bottom offered only a time and location. Did it mean tonight? The location listed was a dangerous place to wander at night. Near the train station, where Old Town's stray cats seemed to gather. Like a cat, he could feel curiosity overwhelming his better judgment. Maybe it would kill him. Very interesting. So that is who we have chosen. Let's go ahead and set him right there. Now let's go ahead and take a quick look at the room rules and see what we have coming our way. Defeat the station's cryptanalyst by earning 10 points in 10 rounds or fewer. Okay, so this one we definitely are going to need the rounds card. So we will be using this. We go ahead and have it set to round 1. We have our character there set to points 0. Room rules. Solo setup, room or the crypt goes second. So I will be going first again here. At the start of the room's turn, place its skill bead on your leftmost diagram. Okay, well that will be a little interesting because I am using one of the skill beads that we came with the game for my round marker. The other one I will be using for myself. So let's go ahead and just here, I also happen to have one of my Hufflepuff's health tokens. We will go ahead and use that as a replacement for the room's skill bead. Okay, at the start of the room's turn, place its skill bead on your leftmost diagram. While it is there, you cannot view or alter that diagram. On subsequent turns, the bead will always move to or return to, if it was reset, to your rightmost diagram. Okay, here we go. So let's leave these, because we already have this shuffled and it's in order, so I don't want to change anything. But let's just say we have this going on round 1 of the room's turn. It will be here. On round 2, it'll move down here. And skill lead while there, you cannot view. So the other thing we have to remember is normally while we're playing, I usually leave my diagrams face up, which I will do here, except the one that the skill bead is currently on. I will have to flip that one and keep it from being altered. That is going to be a nice little change to this room, because normally some of the things you're having to keep in mind, having to keep, the memory factor of is what we have going on right here. Now we are also going to have to remember potentially what we are going for. So that'll make this room potentially a little more difficult. See what else we have coming. On the room's turn, roll solo d6. So we will need this guy today. So we'll leave him there. On a 1, arm any exposed mechanism. First your disarm failsafe, then discarded ones. So if we disarm a failsafe and move a failsafe into our disarm stack, because remember, one of the diagram types is the collect, where you would collect multiple failsafes and turn those in for points. You would first take it from your disarm stack. Then next, if for whatever reason you had to discard a failsafe, if you have none, then you would take from those discarded ones to replace. This is also good to know that because I will potentially be removing or losing failsafes, I probably am not going to want to be going for collect diagrams. So I'll want to keep that in mind. Number 2, if I roll a 2, swap 2 leftmost mechanism stacks. So if we roll a 2, these guys are going to get swapped. Number 3, flip the middle mechanism in the visible lock area. So here again is our visible. So if we roll a 3, we will flip this guy. Number 4, discard diagram under room's skill bead. Oh, that is nasty right there. Because we could be going for this diagram, working really hard to get it almost there, and all of a sudden roll a 4 and have to discard that one. So what we're probably going to want to do is roll as many of the disarm draw diagrams in the beginning to try to get 3, 4, 5 diagrams going as quickly as possible. So that way we can keep the skill bead on that far one. So we can keep going for these first 1, 2, 3, maybe if we're lucky. So if we do have to discard something, it's hopefully going to be one that we're not too interested in. But that risk of losing what we're working on is nasty. Let's see. Number 5. Flip stack in hidden lock area and rotate all stacks. So this one is going to be like the peak flip rotate mechanism that we can normally roll. The only thing is we would not be able to do that initial peak part of that. And finally, if we roll a 6, rotate your leftmost diagram 90 degrees. That is also really nasty because remember, when you place your diagram down, you place it and you say, hey, I want to go for this sequence. Well, if I roll a 6, all of a sudden, I have to flip this guy 90 degrees. So, and we rotate and move everything to the left. So I will go left for the flip. So it'll be like that. Again, changing what we're going for. Not as bad as discarding because we can still go for whatever this happens to be. It will just mess us up on what we are currently trying for. And then, of course, there is a challenge mode to earn the 10 points in 8 or fewer rounds. Of course, we're going to go the regular mode, which is 10 points in 10 rounds. That sounds hard enough as it is. Normally, I keep my room card up here because I don't really need it too much afterwards. But because we will be rolling this D6 every round, we'll go ahead and leave him here so we can see what we're doing. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is the final step to set up that you do within Triplock, and that is to draw your diagram card and decide which sequence you want to go for. All right. So once again, we are going for 5 points in 10 rounds. We probably want to go for this as quickly as possible. We don't know how many diagrams we're going to get, so we're probably going to want to go with the 5 point each turn. So for this one, it will be the key, the pull, and the gear. Our other option, of course, is the 1 point, and we would also get this reward if we solve it. One of the advantages here, if you remember, we have these symbols, which means these can be in any order. whereas this one being left to right, it has to be key first, pull second. This is the collect one that we were talking about before, where if we disarm a failsafe, we then trade that in for 1 point. That would take forever to accomplish, so we're probably not going to go for these. And because we could roll that die and lose this at any point, it makes this a lot more difficult, especially when you're getting so few points for it. And then trip is a little simpler, just going for one thing. No points on this one, so we definitely are not interested. It lets us do a few other things, but yet we will definitely go for this one. For now, we can go ahead and leave that one face up. But again, as soon as the room goes, he will be placing his skill bead there, and we will have to flip that. So we will have to remember what we were going for is the key, the pull, and the gear. All right, and with us going first, let us get this game underway. Here we are, Doc Elliott against the room number 3. All right, and our first roll is the flip, and then the diagram reveal, conceal, or alter. Once again, this doesn't do us a whole lot of good, I don't think. We don't really know what anything is. We've selected the diagram we want. We don't want to flip it. We don't need to reveal, conceal, any of that kind of stuff. This is what we're going for, so we don't really want to do this one. We don't need to flip anything. We don't know what anything is. It doesn't do us a whole lot of good. Our first goal in this game is to try to get as many diagrams as we can. So let's go ahead and trade the 2 of these in for any one action that we want. And we will go ahead and choose the disarm and draw a new diagram. So we will go ahead and choose any of the visible spots to disarm. Just go ahead and pick the first one because there's really no advantage right now. We know this guy's going to go over here if we ever rotate, but since things don't automatically uncover whatever, really any one of the 3 is about an equal for us at this point. So we'll go ahead and disarm this one and set it in our disarmed stack. As of right now, it is ours. We can take this, and it is the gear lock. It is ours. We could potentially use it if it comes to it for trading in for the collect. But again, we're probably going to be going for the 5 pointers. And the next part now is to draw a new diagram. So let's go ahead and take that. And here we have a big collect. Definitely don't want that. Again, a small, which actually this could give us a 1 point, and immediately might be something to consider. This might be a decent card to hold on to if we were to alter this one, maybe. And then the 5 points, and it actually has a good bit of stuff that we're going on here. So this might go well in conjunction with this one. And then the left to right, again, we already see one thing that we need. 2 points, and we get a new diagram. Oh, that's another one to keep in mind. It might be useful, but I do think I'm going to stick with my strategy of trying to grab 3 or 4 of these 5 pointers to try to get a couple of these going. So we will leave it that way. There we go. And of course, we cannot solve anything, so we don't need to do that action. And our final is our skill. We have, again, a couple options. We can go for points. We can go for extra actions. We can go for a reset, which the reset would, on this one, because you're resetting your opponent. So if theirs was there, it would allow me to take that off, stick it on their reset, which the card even talks about if reset, which would then allow me to flip it and it will go back, so forth and so on. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot for us on that. And currently locking down a diagram, using Dr. Elliott's skill, this might come in handy as we get closer to actually solving one, then we might want to lock one down to make sure they can't alter it. But for right now, it's not as important. I think extra actions is what's really going to come useful for us. So we'll go ahead and put our skill bead on the action and move on to the room's turn. So for the start of the room's turn, the room will take its skill bead and put it on the leftmost diagram. So once again, now we're going to have to remember we're going for key, pull, gear. Flip that. There we go. So now we're adding that to what we have to remember. Key, pull, and gear. Key, pull, gear. Make sure we remember that. Key, pull, gear. All right. And now we will roll the room's die to see what nastiness they have coming our way. And they rolled a 3. Flip the middle stack, invisible area. So we will go ahead and do that. Again, we have no idea what that was. We don't know if that hurt or helped us as of yet. And that is the room's turn. So now we will go ahead and move on to ours. Move our skill bead. First thing first, let's go ahead and roll. And remember, these can be done in any order. So if the first thing I wanted to do was try to solve a diagram, I could do that. But remember, if you fail at solving it, your turn ends. So usually you want to try to leave this towards the end, just in case. But technically it can be happening at any time. I could go with my 1 roll because if I move this to the skill here, I do that immediately. Let's see. Do I want my single roll first? Because I'm definitely going to be doing this. Do I want my single roll first, or do I want my double roll first? Because my double roll, if I don't like what I got, I could change it to anything. So I could change it to the disarm one, or I could change it to the peak. So now I might want to know what these are now that I have 2 diagrams going. Yeah, let's go with their double and decide what we want to do. There we go. And ooh, very interesting. Oh, this one this one's going to be interesting, guys. And we'll go ahead and keep this going for us. We can choose which order we want to do things in. Let's see. If I do this one first, it will let me, in a sense, figure out what one of these 2 are. If I do this first, I'll peek at that, flip it, move it, and then I could. Oh no, is this on? Let's go ahead. Let's do this one first, and then let's do it in that order. So we'll go ahead and disarm this diagram. Why not? So now we have another gear lock. We can see that this is now the code. And we can see on the opposite side of the code is the key. So we do need to flip this guy somehow. Because what we need is the key. So we're going to have to flip. And we're going to draw a new diagram. Let's see here. We have just a single spring. This, which we will probably be going for, so we'll look at that in a minute. Spring and lock, left to right, 2 points, and draw a new diagram. Not much of that is what we're currently going for. And then a lot for the collect, which is actually just 1 more disarm. But there's no guarantee that these are gear locks and not explosions. So that's sketchy. But flipping this might be, we might want to go and alter this at one point to go for those 4 points. This might be a very useful card. But we'll go ahead and keep with our strategy. Again, I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to start moving down. But we will remember we're going here. So when this moves, it will actually go to this one because it would be the one that was going there. So we will put him here. We are going to go for that. And then we will do now this action. So that allows us to peek at the hidden. So here we go. And it is the push Okay, this I'm really liking. We got lucky here. All right, because we have the push, but we know we need the pull on this guy. So the next step within this one is to flip. So now we flip this. So now we know that if we can flip this one again, we actually can solve this one, because we would then have the key, the gear, and the pull. That's awesome. And the last step in here is to rotate everything. So now we even have all of them within our visible area. This could get very interesting, guys, because now I have my extra action. Let's go ahead and move this here, roll our 1 die. If we get lucky, we'll get the flip, and we'll be able to flip this back to where we need it and solve this diagram. That would be so awesome. Let's see how lucky we are today, guys. Oh, we are not lucky. However, it is a good pull. It is another disarm and diagram pull. I'm okay with that, because now for our next round, worst case scenario, we trade these in for the flip and we can still solve this guy. And because this is going to get moved here, the likelihood of this one getting discarded or altered is not going to happen. So that is awesome. This was a great die roll. So let's go ahead and choose this one. We will now disarm, and see, it's an explosion. So we wouldn't have had this one. Oh, but see how close we are though. Oh, that's so awesome. All right, and we get to draw another diagram. And again, let's go ahead and keep with our current goal. So we're going to go ahead and go for this 5 points. But let's go ahead and look to see what other options we have. The levers and the pull. Again, we don't really have much that we're going for levers. That's not going to do us a whole lot of good. 2 explosions. We only have 1. Not going to do us a whole lot of good. Or just a single lever for 1 point. Again, not going to do us a lot of good. Let's keep with our strategy. I think it's playing well for us right now. Let's keep going for these 5s. That was pretty awesome. All right, so we used this. Now it's going to go here. Awesome, awesome, guys. All right, that is our turn. Now let's go into the room's turn. So the first thing the room's going to do is it's going to move its skill bead onto the far right diagram this time. Let's see. On subsequent turns, the bead always moves to or returns to the rightmost diagram. So now we're going to move here. And for this one, guys, we want to remember, now for our hidden stack, we are going for the levers. We are going for the pull. And we are going for the gear. So that's what we're going to want to have to remember, because now we do not get to see it. We're going to have to remember that. But since the bead is no longer on this one, we can revert it back to being able to peek. Because remember, during your turn, you can peek at your diagrams at any time. So having them flipped face up is no issue. It's just within this one scenario, we're going to want to make sure we keep the one that the room's skill bead is on covered. So we're doing this good. Once again, all right. So we have, hopefully we'll get the key here. We'll be able to do something here, get the key. We have the pull, we have the gear. We're so close to this one. All right, the room's final turn is to roll its die and to see what kind of nastiness it has coming our way. And it is a 4, the 4 discard diagram under room's skill bead. Oh, that is so nasty. We did not want to do that. We did not want to lose. And though it's got, I think, the least going for, so it's okay. I'm okay with losing that diagram. Didn't want to lose any of them, but if I'm going to, I guess that one is good. And it kind of goes with our strategy of, you know, with the way that we're working on these left to right. Because if we're losing them, we don't want to lose the ones that we are currently playing for. So now it is our turn again. Let's go ahead and move our skill bead up to number 3. And we will, this point, it doesn't really matter to me as much the order of the things I want to do. So we'll go ahead and take our skill bead, move it to the action. So on round 4, we can have 2. go ahead and roll to see what we have coming towards us. And we rolled 2 of, that's getting a little interesting about what's going on here. Let's see. I don't think I want to do that twice. No, I definitely don't want to do that twice. I want to keep with our plan. We're going to trade this in. So we will trade that in to the flip. We will flip this. So now we have our key, our gear, and our pull. This diagram. We will use our last of our 3 turn actions to solve this diagram. And so now we'll move these there like that. So we will solve this. Hopefully we have the key, which we do. And again, these can be in any order. So we have the pull and we have the gear. 5 points. Awesome, guys. All right, so here. So now in the bank, we have 5 points. Let's go ahead and move our point tracker to the 5 position. We have 3 fail safes to potentially use, which actually we can do this one. It is a 3. So worst case, we might, or another option might be if we get another one to do the 4, or here actually we could do this one right away and run our gambit of turns just to get our 2 points. That might be an option here with this one. For the next round, to just rotate, to just do the alter to get this. That might be a nice little option. But for right now, that is all we can do on our 3rd turn. So now it is time for the room to go. So the room will now place its skill bead here. So of course, now we are going to want to remember that we have the spring, the lock, and the keypad. That is what we got to remember for this one, because we're about to go silent on that. And the room will now roll to see what it has coming our way. And it is a 4 again. Discard diagram. So we are losing this one. Oh, that is so nasty. All right, so here we've lost another diagram. Definitely starting off trying to get as many diagrams as we can was a good thing. And I do think I will play it safe and try to alter this one and trade these guys in now for the 3 and then start running this route. We have plenty of rounds to do it, so we will definitely on this turn, for us, on our 4th turn, use this extra action just to see what we have going. But that's probably the strategy where we're going to go. So let's go ahead and move on to round 4. So we will start off with rolling our die, see where we are at. And we have a peek at 2, and we have a disarm and draw diagram. This is tough, guys. This right here is, if by doing the alter, it is definitely going to give us a guaranteed win scenario for us. So let's go ahead and do that. We will trade these in for the reveal, conceal, or alter. We will alter this diagram to here. We will then go ahead and trade these 3 in, because that is our roll turn action. So now we will do a disarm diagram, and so we will trade this collection in. So we will discard these 3 now and trade this in for 3 points. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And now use our final action, because we have plenty of rounds. We're going to round 10, so we have plenty of rounds. Let's go ahead and use this extra roll action now, just to see what we can maybe have going for us. And we have a flip. That really does us no good whatsoever on this turn because we have no diagrams as of right now. We have no idea what we are going for. And we don't know if we need to flip anything. There's no point. So we don't need to use that one. Because remember, you don't have to do your thing, but if you do choose to do one, you do have to do every part within it. So we will just not use that action. Yay. And move over onto the room's turn. First thing the room would do is move his skill onto the rightmost diagram, but of course we don't have any, so there's nothing to move him onto. Next, he will roll, and he rolled a 5. Flip stack in hidden lock area and rotate all stacks. So we will go ahead and flip that. And now we will rotate. Again, we don't really know what this is potentially doing to hurt or help us, as we don't really know what we're going for at this point. And that is the room's turn. So now we will go on to our 5th turn. Of course, we will use our skill and we will go for points. So that way in turn 7, we will get our 2 points and win the room. We will go ahead and now do our roll action and see if we can at least draw another diagram. Maybe we can get something going, get something done a little quicker. Okay, we have the peak and we have the altar. Would have been nice. This roll would have been a lot better than the last round. We would have, if these two rolls for round 4 and 5 were reversed, I mean, we're already doing pretty good, but I think we would be definitely be sailing pretty. These two, of course, there's nothing that we need. There's no diagrams to alter, and this would be the only one to peek at because these two are already disarmed. Doesn't really do us a whole lot of good here, so we will trade both of them in for the disarm, failsafe, and take a new diagram. So we will disarm this one. So now we have a new explosion and we have a new one to go for. We already have 3 points. We're just going for the 2. So let's see, and there is a 2-point diagram here. And so it is the gear and the keypad. And the keypad is next to the key. So the key is going to be here because we can know because of what we have showing for us. And it's got to be left to right. So potentially just moving things around just a couple times might do it. But let's go ahead and we will definitely go for the simpler 2-point. See if we can't get that see if we can't finish this off a little sooner. And of course, we just got this. We know we can't solve it, so there's no point in doing the resolve diagram. So now we will go on to the room's turn. First thing the room's going to do is going to take their skill bead, place it on the diagram far right. There's only one, so that is him. And then, of course, we're going to want to remember we are going for the keypad and the gear. So there we go. Next, the room will roll to see what it has going for us. A 5 again. So we have flip the stack in the hidden area and rotate. So now we're going to go ahead and flip him. So now we have everything showing. Very nice. Go ahead and rotate. All right. So now, ooh, this is kind of interesting. If we can figure out a way to rotate, of course, the only way we can rotate is doing the peak, which we would not be able to do. So we would skip that part of it. Rotate, but then it would give us to where a side that we don't need anymore. But it would put it in the right order, and because then we'd rotate. So that might be what we're going for in this next round. Very interesting. Okay. So let's go ahead and now move to our token over to round 6. start our next turn, and we will move our skill bead over to the next points and go ahead and do our roll. And we have a flip, and we have a peek. And let's go ahead and let's set us up for the next round, which the next round we're going to get 2 points anyway, but let's go ahead and flip him. Peek. We can't peek at anything, so that is our turn. So now we will go ahead and let the room go. Their die continues, or their skill bead continues to stay on this one. The room will roll, and they rolled a 3. Flip the middle stack. This one does not do much to hurt or help us there. So now we will go back to our turn. We will go to round 7. We have this one in the bag, guys. We'll go ahead and roll our die. We can win this in one of 2 different ways. Here we go. We have the discard and draw a diagram, and we have the altar. This point, we don't need to do any of these. So let's go ahead and combine the 2 and pick any action we want. And we will do the peek, flip, rotate. So we're going to peek. Yep, this the spring. So we're going to peek. We're not going to flip. So now we know we have the gear going. Rotate. There we go. And now we have 2 different win situations. We can either use our skill bead to get our 2 points, or we can solve this diagram. The diagram we have going right here. Let's go ahead and do our sure thing. We will move our skill bead over to the 2 points. Grab our 2 points, 9 and onto 10, and go ahead for our last. And just for the fun of it, go ahead and try to solve a diagram. And we have the code and the gear for an additional 2 points, and drawing a new diagram, which doesn't really matter because that is it. That is the game. We now have actually 12 points at the end of our turn. We did it in 7 rounds. We actually even did it under the challenge mode criteria. We got our 10 points, 12 actually, in less than 8 rounds. We did awesome, guys. I am so enjoying this game. It is so much fun. There is so much you have to, you think it's so simple. You're just trying to solve diagrams, but there's so much you have to consider. And I'm loving these scenarios and how they are changing the game and adding little rules and just little scenarios and the backstories that they are giving to add on to everything that we have going. This is a whole lot of fun. So next we have coming for us, which is the final room. So let's go ahead and take a look at the characters we have left to choose. And so here we are. And this last room is a little different. So here we go. This one, a little sneak peek onto room 4, because it is done cooperative style. So we are going to play as 2 different characters in our next go round. So for this next one, being that we are going to play them ourselves, and being that for because there is no opponent within this room, room has no turn, we have no opponent, this character does us absolutely nothing for the continued playthrough into room 4. So we will go ahead and set her aside. And for room 4, we will have Adeline and Elizabeth trying to cooperatively go in room 4 to win the station. And remember, with the way that this game is set up to play, win, lose, or draw, you have to pick new characters. Being that we only have one character left, we would not even be able to replay room 4. So our next playthrough, room 4, is going to be an all or nothing. It will be so much fun. I look forward to playing through with that with you guys. I hope you have enjoyed this playthrough and the first 2, and I hope you are looking forward to moving on into room 4. I know I have enjoyed it. I hope this has helped you to determine if this is the kind of game you are interested in, and helps you to maybe decide if it's something that you might want to pick up for yourself. Until next time, and until we go on to challenge room 4 for the station solo scenario within the core box, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.